big loads of drugs in boats anymore. There aren't too many boats that are traveling on the seas by Venezuela. They tend not to want to travel very quickly anymore.
What began as a calm morning at sea quietly turned into a tense military signal that carried far more meaning than it first appeared. Just after dawn in the Caribbean Sea, a routine patrol shifted into a security incident few outside the Navy would immediately notice. As the USS Gerald R. Ford moved steadily through international waters on its planned course when foreign military aircraft suddenly appeared at low altitude and high speed. Without warning, announcement, joint exercise notice, or diplomatic signal, only aggressive movement in a space where a single mistake can alter regional stability. What followed was not an open attack, but a controlled pressure move designed to test reactions, discipline, and resolve in one of the world's most sensitive maritime corridors. Just after sunrise, the first sign of trouble appeared above the calm water when two Venezuelan K-8 jets dropped low and began circling near the carrier, flying so close that their shadows briefly flickered across the waves beside the ship, a move impossible to ignore. These were not distant patrol aircraft passing overhead, but deliberate low passes meant to be seen and felt, carrying the quiet tension of a challenge rather than the chaos of an accident. The K-8, a light attack and training jet often used for pressure tactics rather than heavy combat, lacks the speed and weapon load of frontline fighters, but offers agility and long low-altitude endurance, making it ideal for signaling presence without crossing the line into open conflict. Its appearance near a primary American carrier was therefore calculated, not random. As the jets approached, their flight patterns grew more aggressive, descending to heights with little margin for error, cutting sharply across the carrier's bow, banking away at speed, then returning from new angles to force constant tracking. The maneuvers were smooth and controlled, showing experienced pilots executing a pattern designed to hold attention. On the flight deck, sailors felt the tension as jet engine noise rolled across the steel surface, vibrating through the hull, slowing movements and drawing eyes upward, not panic, but clear awareness that this was not routine. Below deck, radar screens lit up with precise data, showing altitude, speed, and direction. Operators tracking every movement and comparing profiles, understanding that in this moment, behavior mattered more than raw firepower. A key detail emerged early. The Venezuelan jets carried no external weapons, their hardpoints empty, signaling restraint but not safety, since even an unarmed aircraft at low altitude poses deadly collision risk. This shifted the assessment from immediate combat threat to deliberate pressure, a probe rather than an assault, meant to provoke attention and measure discipline. The flight patterns reinforce this, close enough to intimidate but not force instant response, slicing across the carrier's projected path before looping back, stretching focus, and adding psychological weight with each pass. Such maneuvers are rarely accidental and are often used to assert presence without triggering war, allowing political messaging while avoiding clear violations of wartime rules. Publicly, the flights could be framed as routine patrols. Privately, they served as a show of resolve. The carrier group's response remained measured, no sudden course changes, no weapons beyond normal readiness, every second logged, reflecting doctrine designed to manage pressure without escalation. Yet the risk remained real, as low-altitude flight near a moving ship leaves no room for error, and that danger itself is part of the calculation. As the passes continued, the question was no longer whether this was accidental, but whether the pilots acted alone or under wider orders. Then the situation shifted again. Radar operators began seeing additional tracks appear, moving deliberately toward the same airspace. What started as a limited display expanded, more Venezuelan jets joining, changing the encounter from a narrow incident into a broader provocation. New returns appeared at different altitudes and bearings, closing in with coordination that ruled out coincidence. This was no longer a single moment of tension, but the opening phase of a calculated test, one that would force decisions based on what came next, because what the radar revealed in the moments that followed would determine whether this remained a warning or escalated into something far more dangerous. What happens next shows how quickly a silent show of force can turn into a dangerous test of control in the air. While avoiding collision with one another, the Venezuelan aircraft maintained tight spacing, And for the watch teams, this confirmed a shift from isolated behavior to organized action that demanded far greater attention. Inside the combat spaces, operators adjusted immediately as the encounter widened, identifying, tracking, and logging each new contact in sequence. The presence of multiple aircraft changed the risk profile instantly, because even without weapons, several jets flying close together dramatically increase the chance of miscalculation. In moments like these, the line between signaling and chaos becomes thin, and that tension was visible on every screen. An unspoken question spread among the crews. Were these pilots acting on individual impulse, or were they executing orders from higher command? That distinction mattered, because intent shapes response. A spontaneous act can be managed with patience, but an organized show of force suggests planning and political approval. Radar data alone could not answer that, but the coordinated patterns strongly suggested something larger than personal bravado. As the Venezuelan formation expanded, the carrier group held steady. No alarms sounded, and no sudden maneuvers broke formation. This calm was deliberate, shaped by decades of experience handling pressure at sea, with the goal of avoiding a provocation turning into a self-created crisis. With multiple foreign aircraft now operating nearby, the U.S. Navy reinforced control of the airspace. From the deck of the USS Gerald R. Ford, F/A-18 fighter jets were prepared for launch. Deck crews moving with practiced precision, no rush, no delay, every step following established procedures. Their launch marked a clear shift in posture, not toward attack, but toward interception and observation. The mission was restraint: identify the aircraft, establish presence, and ensure the safety of the carrier group. The fighters climbed smoothly and took positions that allowed full visibility without escalation. From below, the interception unfolded with discipline, the American jets maintaining stable paths and careful spacing, avoiding sudden movements that could be misread as hostile. Communication remained minimal and controlled, signaling readiness without aggression. As the F divided by -18S closed in, the Venezuelan jets responded with even more assertive maneuvers, flying closer and narrowing distances to only a few hundred meters, close enough for pilots on both sides to see each other clearly. At that range, even light turbulence can become dangerous. These passes violate international safety norms for a reason, because high-speed aircraft generate powerful air currents, and when jets fly this close, the margin for correction disappears. A small error, distraction, or mechanical issue can cause a collision with no time to recover. For the sailors aboard the carrier and its escorts, this danger was real, not theoretical, because even an unarmed aircraft striking a ship can cause serious damage. The tension came from knowing the outcome depended entirely on discipline inside the cockpit. Despite the risk, the American response did not change. The F/A-18 pilots held position, shadowing the Venezuelan jets without copying their aggressive moves, their steady flight sharply contrasting with the sharper maneuvers nearby, sending a clear message of professionalism and control. The risk of accidental escalation hung over the encounter, reminding everyone that many conflicts begin not by intent, but by mistake. As minutes passed, multiple aircraft from two nations occupied the same airspace, every movement observed and recorded. The situation balanced on a narrow edge defined by individual decisions and command discipline. This phase showed how a simple show of presence can evolve into a serious test of resolve. Throughout it all, the carrier strike group chose discipline over display. The USS Gerald R. Ford maintained its original course through international waters, neither turning away nor surging forward, its speed and formation unchanged, signaling confidence rather than hesitation. Defensive systems quietly moved to higher readiness, sensors sharpened, electronic defenses monitored the airspace, yet no weapons were armed and no aggressive locks were taken. The calm exterior masked intense focus, with every console alive and every second carrying weight. This restraint was not weakness, but strength rooted in doctrine and training. The carrier did not need dramatic movement to prove capability. Its stillness under pressure spoke louder than force. As the standoff continued, radar operators noticed a subtle shift. As the Venezuelan aircraft began adjusting their headings, hinting that the encounter was approaching another turning point. What looked like a tense standoff in the air slowly began to ease, but the meaning of what happened was only just beginning to take shape. One by one, the Venezuelan jets started to curve their flight paths away from the carrier group, their speeds shifting slightly and their altitudes increasing as they repositioned. Small changes that were immediately noticed by watch teams who understood what they signaled. Radar confirmed what both pilots and sailors could already sense. The aircraft were turning back toward their coastline. There was no sudden breakaway and no dramatic exit, only a careful, gradual withdrawal that appeared designed to avoid embarrassment while reducing risk, reflecting the same caution that had shaped the earlier provocation. The encounter was ending without direct contact. During this phase, the carrier group did not pursue beyond necessary tracking. American aircraft stayed at a safe distance, watching closely to ensure the jets did not reverse course or attempt another close approach. There was no aggressive chase and no effort to press advantage, following long-established rules meant to prevent a tense situation from flaring up again once the immediate danger passed. Tactically, the withdrawal marked a successful containment of escalation. The airspace around the USS Gerald R. Ford cleared and the immediate risk faded. But the incident did not truly end when the jets turned away, because what happens in the sky often continues later through words and media. Soon after the aircraft returned toward Venezuelan territory, officials released public statements framing the event as a victory, claiming the flights demonstrated sovereignty and forced a powerful foreign ship to react. This version of events spread quickly through state-aligned media, emphasizing strength and control for domestic audiences. The United States response told a very different story. American officials stated clearly that the USS Gerald R. Ford never changed course and described the Venezuelan maneuvers as unsafe and irresponsible, highlighting the danger created by close-range flybys rather than any success in deterrence. This sharp contrast revealed a familiar pattern in modern confrontations, where physical events are followed by information battles, and perception becomes as important as movement. Radar data, flight recordings, and ship logs told one story, while public messaging told another. For people far from the scene, the louder narrative can sometimes drown out quiet evidence, which is where information warfare intersects with military operations. The carrier group's steady and restrained behavior strengthened its position in this second battle, because relying on recorded facts instead of dramatic reactions preserved credibility and made later claims easier to measure against reality. Although the aircraft had departed, the political impact lingered. Encounters like this shape future behavior, teaching both sides what is tolerated and what is not. The incident unfolded in clear stages, beginning with aggressive low-altitude flybys, escalating as more aircraft entered the area, and reaching its most dangerous point when close passes pushed safety margins to the edge. Throughout it all, the carrier group held course, raised readiness quietly, and avoided visible escalation. The jets eventually withdrew, and the confrontation moved from the air to competing narratives. This sequence makes one thing difficult to ignore. It was not a random mistake. The choice of aircraft, the timing, the patterns, and even the controlled withdrawal suggest a limited test rather than an accident. Such actions are often meant to probe boundaries, measure reactions, and gather information without triggering open conflict. In that sense, this was a signal, not a strike. But repeated tests carry growing risk. Close flybys at high speed leave little room for human error, and fatigue, weather, or one bad decision can turn signaling into disaster. When ships and aircraft operate this close, accidents rarely stay small, and even a minor collision can force political leaders to react. The danger is not only intent, but misinterpretation. If these actions continue, boundaries may keep shifting until behavior that once seemed extreme becomes routine, right up until the moment something goes wrong. History shows many serious crises begin this way, not with planned attacks, but with the slow erosion of caution. The response by the USS Gerald R. Ford shows one way to manage that risk by holding course, avoiding unnecessary movement, and letting discipline speak louder than force. As these encounters become more common, the question remains how long restraint can hold. Because every test leaves a record, and every record shapes the next encounter. If pressure tactics continue and margins keep shrinking, will future confrontations still end quietly? Or will one moment finally push events beyond control?